Hello, I'm FGXToyCat, and yes, this very much is a real texture pack. It's made by Jura, who you might know as Thumbnail Guy. He makes the thumbnails for the live streams on this channel, and one of the things that you might not know is that he also was working on a texture pack. I agreed that whatever it was, yeah, I'd totally make a video, not really knowing what I got myself into until this is a thing that definitely happened. So today we're checking out the Will Smith texture pack, giving you a review of it, and then letting you know where you can get it yourself in case you've ever thought to yourself, you know what the problem with Minecraft is? Not enough Will Smith. Because believe me, this exceeds expectations. And I'm not necessarily sure that's a good thing, because pretty much every single block has been Will Smithified in some way. As you can see, here are some wood planks. It's Will Smith's face. As you can see, the sun is Will Smith staring down at me right now. There's a lot of things that we're going to be diving into in today's texture pack review, which is the Will Smith texture pack, and that shows that, you know, like skills in making thumbnails also translate into skills in making texture packs, because this is one of the most impressive texture packs on at least a few levels that I've seen in quite some time. So yeah, let's do our usual texture pack review, and let's start by mentioning the fact that you can see, just right off the bat, our hotbar has Will Smith in it too, which you don't often see changed, but there's some very subtle Will Smith in the hotbar right there, and also my cursor, my pointer, is just Will Smith's face but in an X shape. Again, everything is Will Smith. You might think, oh no, it's only most things that are Will Smith. But you'd be wrong. Everything is Will Smith. Because look at this, for instance. Like, oh, the pumpkin's Will Smith, and then it's Will Smith. But on the front, it's just a pumpkin face, right? No, that's also Will Smith. And yeah, it gets better and better, in my opinion, because there's some that take a while to spot. There are some that are really cleverly overlaid. Like, oh yeah, look at this ladder, for instance. The ladder is Will Smith as well, and it blends perfectly into most blocks, which means that, oh yeah, look, there's Will Smith. There's Will Smith in a ladder, so he's like slightly inverted. It's very strange stuff. And my favorite thing is looking at things like stairs that, cleverly enough, they work as Will Smith's face when you look down at them, but then when you're looking up at them, it's also Will Smith's face. Again, this is a pure stroke of genius. I mean, when it comes to maximizing Will Smith face time, this is the only texture pack that can do that, because, yeah, everything is Will Smithified. Even the things that aren't necessarily, like Fresh Prince, which, you know, he's most famous for. Fun fact, the lyrics to that, like, you know, West Philadelphia, born and raised, he actually was born in West Philadelphia. I thought that was shocking, like, wow, the lyrics to the song are true. But yeah, let's look around the rest of the texture pack. Because as you all do know, there are 4 parts to a texture pack review. We show off the natural world, we show off some existing builds, we show off the underground, and we show off the nether. And you might think, like, well, I mean, you're not going to seriously use the texture pack, are you? But I think there are some genuine uses why you might like it, because, for instance, look at this right now. It looks a bit like a Sonic Green Hill Zone, like the bright green and the bright orangey brown. Like, I would say it's more of an orange than a brown. Things look really good from a certain distance, and having Will Smith stare down at you, no matter, you know, what time of day it is, it's something that words can't express well enough. But yeah, I love having a good giant Will Smith in the sky. It's a bit like the Teletubbies, but Will Smith style. But yeah, let's you know, go around. Let's look at the natural world for this, because yeah, again, you can see how the ground, it's mostly made up of Will Smith faces. It takes a while to load in the textures from time to time, I guess, because it's HD and the game is a bit weird about that. But as soon as you get close to something, you'll see, oh yeah, it's Will Smith on all sides of it. Grass is a green-sided block on all sides, which I kind of like. Even the grass, which is tall grass and regular grass, as you can see, this is also, again, super HDified, but it's very much grass that you can see right here. Seriously, look at this grass. It's really nice detail. You know, like that grass on the top of his head, it blends perfectly. And you're going to see this with pretty much any plant life in the world. Like, oh yeah, grass looks great, then the grass on the grass looks great. Even if you use 2 grass, it looks wonderful too. If we look at like trees, for instance, they have a much higher quality because this isn't just a Will Smith texture pack. Like I said, it's a HD Will Smith texture pack. So you'll notice how, like, oh yeah, there's a Will Smith face, there's a second Will Smith face, and you'll even notice there's some smaller ones because, again, the beauty that comes with these blocks and their fancy leaves is, you know, unmistakable. And it's something you really have to give some credit for at the very least. I mean, it's a bit creepy sometimes, but it's nice in others. And just in case you think the color representation of Will Smith wasn't enough, here is a white Will Smith. So as you can see, we've got the full spectrum going on here today. Literally the full spectrum. I wonder which block has like the most accurate like Will Smith kind of face neck, because you can see, like, this doesn't look as good as that, which doesn't look as good as you know, say this, you might argue. I mean, very different stare he's doing there. But again, we got lots of different colors we can you know, kind of work with and check out here. And believe me, that's what we're doing today, because let's show you some existing builds in my Minecraft world and show you how they look with various Will Smith faces applied to them. So here's my giant blast furnace, or my giant blast Will Smith, if you will. Over here, you can see my nice little bridge that leads over to my giant you know, Metro Tower or Skyrail Tower. As you can see, lots of Will Smith faces to remind you that you're always being looked at. Oh, I didn't even spot this. The side of the stairs are also Will Smith's face, and I bet Yep, the back of the stairs are as well. There's no way to avoid his face. No matter how you go up or down these things, there's always just faces surrounding you on all sides. It's very creepy, in a good way, I would say. I mean, as much as a thing can be good creepy. Looking at my spawn building, you can see, oh yeah, look at this. This goes to show that Will Smith can be any color because Will Smith is just that good at being Will Smith. And then also looking at my bank, you can see that Will Smith is a secure man that has lots of different, this looks like a security guard version of guarding everything else. It's very crazy, it's very fun, but it's not everything because now we're gonna go to the Nether and I'm gonna show you how Will Smith looks there. Because you're never gonna believe how this portal looks. Just like, seriously. I don't know why. This gimmick should have worn off by now, but the fact that they're very slightly different faces, I just love that. Like, did you hear that? That's the portal transportation sound. But yeah, just the idea of taking very slightly different faces and very slightly different, you know, HDified versions of them. I don't know if I love that or think it's the worst thing, but I do know I'm looking at it and I'm intrigued every time, like, oh my god, what is this? Also, one of the facts about Bedrock, obviously, that you might not know is the fact that it rotates grass, netherrack, and a few other textures randomly. So if you look at the ground around here, the Nether looks terrifying. It looks like a warped version of Will Smith until you get really close to it and you go like, oh yeah, that's pretty normal. I mean, he's crying because, I mean, it's really hot in here. Who doesn't cry in the Nether? But yeah, when you see a lot of it together, it can be real creepy. I mean, he's got really nice white teeth, which, you know, seeing it in the Nether, it looks a bit weird, especially when it's randomly rotated. But yeah, looking around the rest of this, after we see, by the way, Will Smith lava, which again, just, there's something, I don't know how this even is possible, but you can see how there's multiple faces when you look at lava from here, but when you look at it head on, it looks like this. How is that true? Like legit, one side looks like this, one side looks like that, but then we rotate and suddenly it's fine. It's an optical illusion or a Will Smith-tical illusion. I'm not even sure how this is humanly possible. Like, how does a texture pack do that to you? Somehow it happens, right? Like, what is this right there? Is that lava or is it Will Smith faces? I don't know. Can you see that? Like, what is happening here? How is this happening? I don't even understand, honestly. And then you can see on the ground here, even the really stretched out textures, which no texture pack does well. This one, I mean, it doesn't look like, it doesn't necessarily look like the correct proportions of the face, but it still looks like something, right? Anyway, let's head out here. Let's head, oh god, man. Now you can say Will Smith is fire, and you'll be technically accurate because of this right here. Like, seriously, look at this. So one of the other things you might like in your world, if you're going to try out a new texture pack, besides having a nice overworld for naturally generated terrain, like this right here, with my, you know, crazy farms and stuff like that, as well as having existing builds, like, say, castles or cave houses or anything else like good, you might, and as well as the Nether, you also might care about underground, because going mining in some texture packs is just a disaster. It's hard to see what's going on, it looks bad, it feels bad, it's not good for anyone, so let's see what this texture pack's all about, because, you know, maybe I'm going to use the Will Smith texture pack for my mining needs. By the way, look, the cobblestone. But yeah, so also my diamond pickaxe, if you can see, it's got that Will Smith look to it, which means I'm going to know at all times that my pickaxe is imbued with the strength of the 50-year-old man that we all know and love. He's going to be with me the entire time, and that emotional support is something you want, right? Side note, I still don't know how I really feel about this one, but Will Smith is like either the coolest dad in the world or like the weirdest dad in the world, because like if you've looked at his kids, I mean, everyone knows Will Smith and the "how can our eyes be real if mirrors aren't real" quote, right? But like, you know, like his kids basically have free roam to do anything, but also kind of not, right? From the public eye, it looks like they're free, but is that like how parenting should be? Arguably yes, arguably no. Seems to work out sort of for them maybe, but yeah. So looking underground, you can see it's a solid experience. You get that parental figure not only on your pickaxe, if you look very carefully, you know, it's always there with you, but also around the world. You can see various different combinations of this stuff. Also, side note, you know, something that's always annoyed me is, how can mirrors be real if our eyes aren't real? Even though it's a funny line, it's actually, like, it's very much a real, statement in my opinion. Like, I, personally, like, obviously it sounds ridiculous on the surface, but, you know, as someone who says a lot of ridiculous things that I think make sense, I mean, I wouldn't say them otherwise, something that, you know, like a little bit of a pet peeve of mine is people are just like, oh, that's silly on the surface, because obviously, even though, you know, he is a stupid kid, he actually did have a real meaning to it, and I think it was, like, actually quite smart, because it's like, how can mirrors be real if our eyes aren't real? Because, you know, when you're, like, as in, be real with me, like, oh yeah, being a real person, being, you know, like, truthful, honest. Because our eyes aren't honest with the world, are they? Our eyes are just, you know, our eyes are tainted by our own perception. We look at ourselves and we see this terrible, awful, you know, we see flaws that other people don't see there. We look at other people and we put them down for things that, you know, no one really should care about. Our eyes aren't real in the sense, you know, at least when you're young and when you know, arguably they never are, but even when you're young, you don't correct for that stuff. And therefore, if your eyes aren't real, how can mirrors be real? Arguably, how can mirrors be real if our eyes aren't real, is how I would say that one, perhaps. Because, yeah, it's totally true, right? How can a mirror tell you what you look like if you're not going to interpret the result correctly? And that's, in my opinion, I mean, maybe this is looking too far into it, but that's my take on, like, you know, can mirrors be real if our eyes aren't real? I mean, no, right? If our eyes aren't real, mirrors aren't real, and although you might say eyes are real, you know, I would say it's the smarter thing to think that eyes aren't real. Or maybe, again, who knows for sure? Kids be weird, right? But yeah, Will Smith, would you like him as your dad? I'm not too sure, but if you would like Will Smith as your dad, but sadly he won't adopt you because those legal papers take their darn time. Also, my leeches, Will Smith, I only just realized. But yeah, if you want Will Smith as your dad, but for some reason he won't sign the legal papers, he won't make it happen, then the best second thing you've got is to put Will Smith in your cape, to put Will Smith in your underground, to put Will Smith on your pickaxe, and you know the best way to do that is, it's to download this texture pack by my good friend and thumbnail man when it comes to live streams. It's Jura. So yeah, I'll link it down below. Again, it should just be a download link. It's in progress right now. The full thing will come out at some point in the future, but I wanted to show you it right now because I wanted to show you something really cool that, again, you might know him as Thumbnail Guy, but on the side, he has a very big obsession with Will Smith. And you might say it's unhealthy, but I would say you're unhealthy because you're looking at mirrors wrong, because how can mirrors be real if our eyes aren't real? That's the real question here, isn't it? Anyway, thank you very much for watching today's video. I hope you did all enjoy it, because I'll see you all in the next one. Oh, like it if you liked it, turn on notifications. I've got another texture pack review coming out soon that I think you'll like, so make sure you check that one out, I guess.